Fifi.
Welcome to Bass University Live. Hope you guys are having a great day. Brought to you by Tackle Direct here, having our Anglers Coffee, our Bass Head blends like we always do here. Hope you guys are having one too. Hope you're having a great day. It's fall fishing season, man. I love this time of year. Stop watching college football. Get out of the deer stand and get out on the water. That's my best advice for everybody, Rich, yourself included.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of nice this time of year when you don't have so many boats on the water. But yeah, it is a great time to be out there. Great time to be fishing.
Leaves are changing in our neck of the woods, and water temperatures falling. The temperatures are going to start falling throughout the South. We were talking with G Money down in Alabama. It's still 100 degrees every day down there in Mobile. But it's coming. It's coming. It's a great time of year, man. The bait fish are moving. They're schooling up. They're, oh my gosh. Did you watch the college ending?
Oh, all the
bracket ending,
action?
The last 5 minutes.
I didn't see the last 5 minutes.
Greatest 5 minutes. Did you see it, Justin?
I didn't. I saw.
I
watched some of it, but what happened in the last?
I can't believe you guys missed it.
I saw it.
The dude was that won. And I apologize. These kids are new to me, so I don't have their name. Pull their names up for me, Justin. The kid that was leading, he was steady catching them on a chug bug, old school chug bug, storm chug, just knocking them out. It's one of my favorite top orders, and it was great to see him bring that back into the forefront. He won the tournament doing it, but he was carrying eating away at 12 pounds. And the kid in second place was having a day, man. Like nothing was working. Fish were coming off, not getting fish to connect. In the last 5 minutes, he's by the launch ramp, Rich.
Mm-hmm.
He's got, I think, 3 fish in the box. Start schooling.
Oh.
Start schooling. We don't know what they are. It's a smallmouth derby, right? They're mainly catching smallmouth with some largemouth mixed in there. Tim's Ford in Tennessee. And anyway, he throws a spook style bait out there, walk the dog bait, and boom, he catches one. I think he had 4 fish. But one was a line burner. The smallest got to be 18 inches. So he catches that 5th fish, puts it in the boat. Then he throws right back in there, catches another one. They're blowing up, and he gets in there and he's in the process of getting rid of that line burner. And then that was the end of the feed. They still had 15 and 20 minutes to fish. So we went from having absolutely no chance to us not knowing whether or not who was going to win this tournament.
Wow.
And it's just never quit, never give up. Oh my gosh, did it come to the forefront? What were the kids' names?
Dylan Atkins is the one who won.
Okay, in second place?
Second place, I'll get you that.
He had that kid was the kid that had the impressive run right at the end. So it was pretty awesome stuff. Pretty awesome.
I think you're most excited about the college bracket because you're off the hook for falling in now.
That was amazing.
Yeah,
that was amazing too.
That actually was pretty incredible.
Aaron and Dylan were the
congratulations to both of you guys.
Yeah, that falling was magical, man.
That was pretty
Still
slick.
Landed the fish.
Still landed it.
He fought the fish while treading water.
Yep.
He's reeling and treading water. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So what happens if you catch a fish and you dive in to get the fish? Does it still count as a catch or no?
Great question. I thought that exact thing, Jocelyn. Should that fish count? Does that fish count? I don't think so, because you're not allowed to leave the boat. But in that instance, that was a short fish, so it didn't matter. The fish went back anyway. But we'll talk with. Well, I'll ask Randy that. He may know that rule on that. But
he ended up landing it in. He got back in the boat to officially land.
Yeah.
But he left the boat.
He did leave.
He left the boat. Is that a legal catch? I don't think so.
But
I
if
think
you
that's
leave the boat for the water, I feel like it's okay. But if you leave the boat for land, then it's not okay.
You like that caveat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll let you catch that fish if you fall in.
Like, could you imagine if you fell in and, like, I don't know, for instance, you caught a fish while you were in the water?
Yeah.
You should be able to keep it.
Well, Jocelyn has laid down the law. Listen up, Bassmasters. We'll have to change the rule. But we're really excited. We have Bassmaster Classic champ. You know, one of the greats of the sport, Randy Howell, joining us, and I'm thrilled to have him. Randy and I have been out competing on tournaments for years and years. He's one of the youngest anglers to start competing professionally, and I see him on the queue. So let's bring him in. We've got one of the greatest anglers on the planet, Randy Howell.
Where? I'm looking for it. What's happening, guys? How's it going up in the Northeast today?
Man, it's beautiful up here. It's 70 degrees. The leaves are turning. The shad are bunching up. The fish are starting to bite. It couldn't be better, man. It's awesome up here.
Man, that's great. It's kind of like that in Guntersville today. It's nice the last couple of days. I've been home from Missouri a couple of days, and it's about, I'm looking out the window, I think it's about 82 today. And man, had a lot of rain over the weekend. We were in Missouri at a media event all last week, so I just got back on the weekend, fished a little bit Sunday afternoon. Me and Robin, man, schooling fish are schooling everywhere out there on Guntersville. It's like the healthiest this lake's ever been, y'all. You can't wait to come back here because it is so many bass in this lake now because the grass is everywhere. And I mean, like we caught like 50 in about 4 hours on Sunday afternoon, but lots of 8 to 14 inches, lots of little ones in there. And then you'll just all of a sudden you'll catch a 3 or 4 pounder or 5 pounder, and they'll be mixed all in with those little ones. But there's a lot of healthy fish in here right now. So this lake is destined to be.
I've been seeing those reports, Randy. We had the hurricane impact a lot of parts of the country. Did you guys get that heavy rain? Did it muddy up Guntersville at all?
No, I think it was a little more. I think it was a little more east of us. We were kind of on that west edge there. It seems like it didn't. Like I said, I was gone, but we were watching it. My neighbors. We really didn't even get a whole lot of rain. I don't even know if we got like an inch or so of rain and a little bit of wind, but it didn't really affect the lakes. The lake's pretty low and still pretty clean out there when I was out there Sunday. So we kind of got off the hook here. I think they got hit a little bit more up that eastern side.
How about like, I know you're from North Carolina, and Asheville. A lot of those places really got pounded with like 6 inches of rain. You got any family members in harm's way up there?
All our family is far east over Rocky Mount and Scotland Neck and Nashville, North Carolina, and that whole area over there. And they got a lot of, I mean, they did have a few tornadoes spawn up right there in Rocky Mount, tore up the old Chinese restaurant that all our family always used to eat at. And my mom eats at, and my in-laws, and it tore that up and destroyed quite a few buildings in that area. And then they had some flooding there, but that was mostly because of a tornado that spawned off of there. Now that western part of the state through Asheville and even in the mountains in South Carolina. I know my wife was talking to Iris Robinson, Marty Robinson's wife, and man, they got really hammered really bad in those South Carolina mountain area where they're at. They still don't have power, and it may be all week before they even get power. And then a lot of friends around Lake Hartwell where the Open was getting ready to be. A couple of my retired buddies there, I was texting yesterday because Laker was going to stay at their house for the tournament, and they were saying, man, I don't know, Bass can't have a tournament on this lake. It is destroyed. We don't have power, we don't have no food, no gas anywhere in the town. And sure enough, they were monitoring that, I guess, and made that change last night. But so I hate it for the people in that area, especially that western North Carolina area and all the mountains and the foothills where all those covered bridges and all those historical places and beautiful places that never, they just weren't used to anything like that. And all that flood water came through that rocky area, nowhere to go. And it just blew out all that stuff. So man, it could be forever before they get their roads back in place around there. So I'm glad, we don't have to drive in that area anytime soon.
Man, it's ferocious what they're dealing with down there, and glad it didn't affect you, personally and your family. That's good news, and I know they're moving the Bassmasters down to Lake Martin, and so I guess that's the result, right? Because Lake Hartwell apparently didn't get pounded too badly. But maybe parts of it did, like you said. Maybe there's no electric or there's no roads.
Yeah, that's
that
what
sort of
happened.
thing.
Both of those friends of mine, they were both retired gentlemen that live on the lake there. They had trees across their roads, power lines down, and they weren't expecting power to be back on until Friday night in a lot of that area. And then how long it'll take to get all their infrastructure back right. And if you bring 300-400 anglers with boats into that area, looking food and gas and groceries and everything else, it was probably going to be a stretch and a struggle. So it was probably smart for Bass to move it. And Lake Martin in Alabama is probably the closest type of a lake, so they're still going to get a deep, clear, spotted bass type lake, real similar to Hartwell. So it shouldn't make a big difference in the style of fishing anyway.
That's true. Yeah, except for they're a little bit smaller, I think, down at Lake Martin on average, but that doesn't matter. That's all relative,
Yeah, that's right. It'll make for a good shakeup in that year-end open deal, because that you got to be ready to roll with all the punches and the changes if you're gonna, make it out of those opens and get on the Elite Series. You got to be ready to do whatever happens. So that's probably a good test for everybody.
No kidding. Well, we were talking about it. I think you may have heard us. What on that fish where the guy fell in the water to catch that fish? Is that a legal fish or not? What do you say?
I've got to catch up on my Bassmaster rules. I'm gonna have to go back and read them all again for to start the Elite Series back up, as we'll talk about here in a minute. But I think it's always been, if you leave the boat in a Bassmaster competition of any kind, a fish doesn't count. You can fall in the water, I think, and you can get back out of the water, but then you can land your fish if it's still hooked, but you can't fall in the water and get the fish and then get back in the boat. Is what I think it was.
So it would have been legal because he hooked it, fell out, got back in, reeled it in from inside the boat.
Yeah, no, I think that would have been legal if he did that, because if he didn't reel it in or land it in the water, I think it was all right. Because you remember the old David Fritz video? I actually saw that in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame the other night. Again, the video play of him falling over, and he grabbed the fish and then put the fish in the boat and did all that. And I think back then, it was so long ago, I think it was legal then, and that's when I believe they changed that rule, that you had to get back in the boat to land the fish after that.
I think there's a stipulation on that rule too, that a part of your boat or part of your body, if it stays in the boat, you're still in the boat. Like, because I remember Ike had it happen where he fell, but his arm stayed in.
Yep.
And he got himself back in the boat. I think Fritz had that too, where he was hanging on the boat. I don't know. We got to.
I think your weight has to stay in the boat nowadays. Your weight, your controlling weight has to stay in the boat. So like you can't even, if you step out on a boat dock, sight fishing, you're holding one foot on the dock and you set the hook or something, you can't have most of your weight out of the boat. I think you got to have your controlling weight and most of your body inside the boat when you land the fish.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an old Trip Weldon rule right there. I saw Trip last week at the Hall of Fame banquet night. He was doing great, and I was glad to see him again. But that's one of Trip will be watching. I'm sure he can send you the letter of the law to the T right now, because I'm sure he developed and created that rule.
Well, obviously, I need to know that rule because of my tendencies to fall in. So
you got your fall in for life right there. You won't ever do that again. One of the best highlights ever.
I know, and there wasn't not even a fish involved or anything. I just decided to fall in.
But your momentum was amazing there. The way you went back and how fast you rolled, flipped backwards like that. It was like the best ever.
I was channeling my old high school wrestling days.
Yeah.
You know,
That's good.
well, I definitely need to know that rule, but that was interesting. A lot of fun to watch the college kids in that bracket ending. Did you see it, Randy? Did you see that?
Last night, scrolling through Instagram, I saw the clip on Bass Nation, and I sit there and watched it. I actually watched it twice. It was I think it's like an 8-minute clip of the fish schooling, and man, I could feel the goosebumps on me just that moment, because that was, like you said, that was one of the best moments ever when somebody's down and they're intense and it's time is running out, and all of a sudden something amazing happens like that you don't expect, and that's like the best thing ever for them to come up schooling in the middle of the lake. And went over there and caught that one, and then caught the other one, threw the little one back, and it's like, man, that's why those kids do what they do right there, and that's why we still do what we do after all these years, because that moment right there makes up for all those bad moments that you didn't get bit all day and you didn't know why, but then that happens and it erases all the bad.
It's a fact, and it did give me goosebumps, and it was thrilling to watch. And kudos for that young man to keep his head in the game, to be able to take advantage of that situation, because you're spending all day grinding, struggling to get bit, but then by staying focused like that, an opportunity presented itself, and man, he sure capitalized on it. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. But I bet you if he had another 20 or 30 minutes, it might have been enough.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly right. But that's what you live for, those cool moments like that, and capitalizing on them. And like you say, it could have went either way. Could have caught just a little bit bigger one, or one more, and could have made the difference in him making it or not. But at least it was fun to end his day out like that, I'm sure.
Yep, that was awesome to watch. And we've seen a lot of fishing going on. I ran into Laker at the Potomac River this year.
Oh yeah.
We fished in the Toyota Series. It was good to. I may have met him before, but he's like 6'5" now, and I couldn't be sure. Like, is this the same kid that I saw, growing up? And but he's a fully grown man at this point, doing
He's
really
a big
well
old boy.
out there.
He is, man. He's a big old boy. He's my bodyguard now if I ever need one. But I work out with him and Nordby, and Andrew Nordby here, that you guys have probably heard of too lately, and fishing's doing pretty well on the MLF side a little bit. Him and Nordby are workout buddies, and they let me jump in with them all along when I'm home, and I can't get the bulk because I'm a Bruce Lee thin frame guy. Laker bulked up really good. He's got the good genes from my wife's side, the height, and a little bit more muscle tone. I'm a skinny muscle guy, so I gotta work hard for every little bit I get.
Well, it helps to start when you're younger, when you got all that testosterone running through the veins. But he looked good. He did great in that tournament. He's battling over at the EQs, and look, I was just looking at the standings. Man, he's going to have a really good tournament down at Lake Martin. But I guess
he's pretty much
possible for him to get in.
I don't think so. Now, mathematically, we've figured it up, and the top 9 guys have done so well. They've built a really good cushion barrier there between them and the rest of the field. It would even be difficult for guys just 2 or 3 places behind, out of the top 10, to even get in there, really, because you'd have to really have some big failures on that in the top, the 5th through 9th or so, but they've got such a big cushion. I don't foresee much of anything changing there. Honestly, those guys have done a good job catching them 8 tournaments in a row, no stumbles anywhere. And that's what you got to do to go across that hole, man. That's a marathon, going 9 events all over the country like that. So I just hate it for all the other guys like Laker and some of the other guys that have done really well in them, that have just not done quite good enough, and they're not going to make the elites again. And they've spent all that time and all that money, because those opens are money makers. They're not made for, they're not made for profiting. If you're an angler, they're made for qualifying. So I really like the changes they've made for next year for the younger guys trying to make it now. At least they're splitting it up into division groups, and then having that final 50-50, 100 guys in those 3 events, and that'll decide the Elite Series qualification. So I think that's a really good move on Bass to do that, and that'll kind of relieve some of the money stress off of a lot of the guys. Unless you like Laker's probably going to try to fish both sides, so he'll have more chance, and it's going to be an extra $10,000 or $11,000 if you do that. But if you want to make it, you got to do what you can to make it.
Yeah, it is nice. It takes it offers a few more opportunities. As a matter of fact, I love fishing the opens. I fished the Toyotas, and the Eastern Division is interesting to me. I saw they hadn't released the schedule yet, but I heard Clark's Hill may be on that schedule. Seminole, I heard the Potomac River, Lake Champlain might be on the Eastern Division, and that sounds interesting to me.
It does. That'd be good, especially get Clark Hill back on there. Clark Hill is a really good lake. I fished a MLF Invitational or Tackle Warehouse Invitational deal a couple years ago. It was at Clark Hill. The first time I'd been back there in a long time, and man, the fishing was great. I really liked that area a lot.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's so weird. I fished all those places down there over the years, but Clark Hill maybe one. I don't think I've ever been there. So that would be interesting. I love going to new bodies of water, and Lake Seminole is one of my favorites. It's got so much fishing history down there, and of course when they come to the Northeast, I like it a lot. I still think they should all come to the Delaware River, the Hudson River. Just make it a Northeast tidal river tournament trail, Randy. That's it is. I'd like to see that someday.
Yeah, I had all I wanted of that Delaware River that one time.
That's right. You fished that derby. Oh my gosh.
I did. I was there, and I didn't catch very much. And I was close to doing really well, and I didn't catch much.
What part of that river did you commit to for your tournament?
Man, I think a lot of those memories wash away when I don't do well. So I think I remember, it seems like I never really found a good spot. So I was junk fishing a lot of the main river. I remember fishing around the airport strip a lot, and I think it seemed like it was an airport there, and I remember fishing around like little water discharge pipes, and I was just junk fishing riprap here and there, and pilings, and I never did find them or really figure them out very good there.
Well, that's a great way to fish that river, and it's like every place in August, that's when you guys were there. It's a tough time of year, no matter where you go. But you're going back to the elites, right? We're talking about an elite tournament. I mean, you won the Bassmaster Classic, you won multiple Bassmaster tournaments, and you're going back to the 5 fish limits on over at the Bassmasters. How you feeling about that? I mean, it sounds like an exciting time for you.
Man, it really is exciting. I've really enjoyed my 6 years on the Bass Pro Tour, Major League Fishing. As far, it's helped me. It's honestly helped me. I feel become a better angler than I've ever was before. It's pushed me to beyond your limits. When you have to fish in that format, I'm telling you, no matter what anybody ever says, that's the hardest. That is the hardest format to compete in you'll ever do, especially against those guys, that group of anglers that are so good, and they're especially the younger group of anglers, with the electronics world and the scoping world and the numbers of fish that can be caught now quickly. It just really, boy, it just puts the stress on you the whole day. You never get to breathe. I've had some, I've had some good ones, and I've had some bad ones, and I've had I think I might have had I don't know, 7 or 8 top 10s, 7, 8, 9 top 10s maybe in the 6 years, counting the Red Crest one and all that. So I've had some good highlights. I never won one, unfortunately. I was hoping I could win one before I finished out there, but I'm telling you, that format has pushed me to be a better angler. So I feel like in the 5 fish format, it will make me better than I have been in the past. I look at, everybody looks at age different, and I know I just turned 51 years old and been doing it for 32 or 3 years now. I guess I started when I was 17, 18 in the invitationals, And so I look at age sometimes differently than some people. Some people look at age and think, you're getting too old to do stuff, or you're not, you don't really, I've got a lot of years of youth in my body left, I feel like, and mentally, I feel like I have more knowledge than I've ever had before. So there's really no reason that I shouldn't be able to do better than I've ever done before. I mean, honestly, and that's what I'm trying to make my mind believe, because it's all right up here between your ears, your mind. As Lyric Clun always says, we're the only ones that puts limitations on ourselves is us. We limit ourselves just by what everybody else says and does. So I'm hoping I can kind of start a new era, a new chapter. My goal when I left Bass 6 years ago, things were great for me. It was just I never say I regret that I left, because I left, and it benefited me for 2 or 3 years financially a lot more. At the time, with sponsors and no entry fees at the time and different things like that. So I had to do what we had to do for our family, and just like timing now that Lakers coming along, trying to work his way up through there and get in the Elite Series. And I've always said, even when I left 6 years ago, I had intentions of coming back in the future. I knew I had that classic, Legend Exemption card, and I thought I could use that whenever I wanted to use it. So I've always said one day I will come back when Laker comes along, because this always been a dream of his and mine too, to have, be a father and son on the Bassmaster Tour like the old Hibden days, Guido and
Yeah.
Dion Hibden were back in those days. And inevitably get in a Bassmaster Classic together. That's a huge goal for him and me both. And so the timing just came along at the right, right now. Sponsors, Dye was one of my biggest sponsors. They're one of a major sponsor with Bassmaster now, all in, and they don't sponsor any other, Major League Fishing Tour. They just sponsor Bassmaster, and they have activation tents at all the events, and they wanted me to be back over there for quite a while now. And so quite a few sponsors have kind of been on board for me to make that move. And this was the time I put my name on the list, fished the opens, and did a few things that they require you to do to get back in. And the time came and I got my call up. So I'm really excited about the future and seeing, what's going to happen out there.
Man, that's great, and it's going to be great to see you back out there on the Elites. Have you taken a look at the schedule?
Yeah, I have. I looked at that schedule, and I'm telling you, I like the schedule a lot. And I know, the controversy of forward facing sonar. We all know that's been the hot topic, and man, and it's been probably the most turmoil I've ever seen in the sport the last 4 or 5 months, especially on the Bassmaster side, because our side had a lot of turmoil and theirs never did. And then all of a sudden they've had all the turmoil. Everybody's had turmoil. So to see how that they didn't really change very much on the bass side. So I think the setup that I run already, 2 Lowrances in the front, 2 in the back, and 1 forward phase of sonar on my trolling motor, that'll be what I'm used to doing already. So I won't have to change anything there. But the way they schedule the events, I think some people might be missing that. I think they actually schedule those events at the locations and the times that will kind of offset not having a lot of limitations on the forward facing sonar. So I feel like at least 6 of those 9 events will be, you won't really have to have forward facing sonar to fish them. I think it'll be shallow. It'll be target fishing and, sight fishing. And there'll be a bunch of stuff going on like that. And it'll always play into it. There's the ones that want to use it hardcore, and the guys that can sight fish with it, which I've still not learned to do real well yet, is catch bedding fish with them. And I'm sure that will still come into play. But for the most part, I think guys that want to fish kind of old school like me and Hackney and some of the other guys that, talk about it, I think we'll be able to do what we want to do. They can do what they want to do. And I've learned to blend it. I've had with the no limit deal on Major League Fishing, I've had to learn to use it in every aspect. So even in shallow water fishing, I use it and I catch a lot of fish with it. Not looking at the fish and making him bite per se, but seeing the fish swimming by a brush pile or a stump or a hole in the grass and power pulling down, making a couple right casts, changing baits, and all of a sudden you catch him. So that's one of the things I've done with forward facing that's not the same as just seeing them out in the middle of the lake. So I think that'll still be a big player, but that schedule overall, I believe, is there's probably only 2 or 3 in there that'll be dominated with it. The rest of them, I think, will be a good blend, and that's what we need.
That's what I saw when they wrote the schedule. And I know, Rich, you had that comment too, that you can schedule around, the need for forward facing sonar. And I think Bass did a pretty good job with that.
Yeah. I mean,
so.
it seems that way. I still think, there's going to be guys that figure out a way to use it everywhere you go. But like the large majority, or the dominant patterns shouldn't all be just out there doing this.
Yeah, you don't want one-dimensional. That one-dimensional fishing basically is kind of the way they've deemed it on the Bass Pro Tour side, the one-dimensional style of fishing. Just like if we all were flipping mats and on all 100 guys were flipping mats on live, and that's all everybody ever did was flip mats over and over and over, we wouldn't want to watch it. It would get boring, because there'd be nothing different about it. So having that blend of techniques, I think, is going to be a good deal with that scheduling, and that's what people want to see. They just want to see a blend. I don't care if somebody catches every bass every day on forward facing sonar. They've learned to trade and they've learned how to do it. Hats off to them, more power to them. Go do it, But I want to be able to fish the way I like, and I'll blend it in, and when I need it, and I'll use it, and it'll still be exciting for everybody. And I think that's what people want to see, is just a blend of all types of fishing, and and just watching people do what they do best.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. What do you think of, now you're not fishing over there anymore, but MLF made the decision to do one period. You're allowed to use it. How is that received by the anglers, and what do you think of that change?
Man, I tell you, when I first heard it, I thought that is probably one of the best ideas. I really think it's gonna be good for them, and I think it's gonna help their viewership for sure, because now, all the guys that throw rocks at it and hate watching it, they can say, well, now I want to see if this kid catches them. Everybody picks on Drew Gilg, and I know Drew. He's a good kid. He stayed at my house first year of college. He's been a friend of Lakers. His family's a friend of ours, and he's an unbelievably talented young angler. Way too smart to even be in bass fishing. His brain is like way higher than any of ours. But he that's the thing. He's dominated so well because he's a systematic approach, and he's learned to do that same system. I think that Wheeler uses, the same system that Michael Neal kind of secretly under the radar. He never talks about it, but I think that's the same way Michael Neal dominates and does so well. So I think have guys now that see them use the forward facing sonar on that one period and they catch 20 bass, now they second and third period or whatever period they choose, they can't use it. So people are going to tune in and probably see, hey, is this guy know how to catch fish without that or not? And then we'll start finding out and start seeing. And I think it'll give an interesting dynamic to the blend of how everybody has to fish and how people have to adjust and just totally fish different. And the thing I'm thinking is going to be cool about, like I was with Dustin Connell, Mark Daniels, and a lot of those guys at a Bass Pro media deal last week. We were staying in a cabin there together, and we talked about it a lot. I actually did a little podcast with Dustin Connell and him on his little podcast. It probably won't come out for another month or two, but we were talking about that. And I even asked him, I said, so as good as you've dominated, Dustin's dominated and caught and won so much money with it, I said, what will you try to totally do something different on the period that you can't use it, or will you try to still fish for those same fish, just not being able to see them with your eyes on the screen? And that's going to be the thing that's going to be cool to see. When there's 50 bass out here in the middle of the lake, and you can catch them when you throw at them. Now you can't see them anymore, but are you going to still try to go out there and blind cast for them and try to make them bite? And that's what's going to be the same. And 2.5 hour period goes by just like that. I mean, it goes so fast.
Sure enough.
So it'll be fun to see what happens there. And I think that dynamic's probably going to work good for them on the Bass Pro Tour. And you know, it probably would have helped me a lot if we'd have had that this year too.
Right. Well, what practice time is something that pops into my mind is how to, because you have a short practice period with MLF, and man, it's I guess it takes. I'm just thinking out loud, but I guess it takes more time to practice traditional fishing patterns and strategies than it does forward facing strategies. Man, it's going to be challenging for guys to figure out how to use their limited practice time.
Yeah, that is, it's a whole lot in that equation to try to figure out, you know, how to manage your time and what you're going to do and how much, you know, that's going to be the cool thing. And that's one of the things you know, that makes Jacob Wheeler always stand out as such a amazing, you know, tournament angler, because he's playing a high level chess game the whole time. I mean, he's already got his last day of the tournament planned out while we're still trying to make it past the first day. He already knows what he's going to do the last day, and then he gets to the last day every time, and that's what's unbelievable to me. So it'll be cool to watch, to see if the same guys still dominate and still do well with this change, and or if it shuffles the deck a little bit. So that'll be fun to see.
Question: how many periods are there in MLF? 3.
3 periods. 3 periods.
Yeah.
One gets
Yep.
forward-facing sonar,
Gotcha.
and the other 2 are traditional. So
Yeah,
it'll be interesting.
declare. Yeah, and you got to declare that morning. You get all the way till that morning before takeoff, and you declare to your boat official, and then they're going to put it on the screen. Like if you have a camera, they'll have a red dot or a green dot on the screen saying you still haven't used it or you are using it, or in that way people can kind of plan out to watch it when they want to see so and so use it or not use it, you know.
Interesting. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out in the tournaments, and we'll be able to see a lot of those guys that really have probably weighed in just a few fish off of standard fishing all year. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, can they really catch them? Can they? I mean, everybody can kind of catch them that way, and I hear this a lot. Yeah, I welcome that because I can flip and pitch, and but. Yeah, can you really flip and pitch with the best in the world? I mean, it's one thing to be able to do that technique. It's another thing to be able to beat Randy Howell's shallow cranking. I mean, that's a tall order. So we're gonna put these guys to the test.
I'm just excited that I'm going to be getting to catch 5 and put 5 in the live well and and do all that again. That's what I'm excited about. I mean, I'm definitely never going to say that it's easier. It's not easier because it's still a strategy to catching 5 and catching bigger ones and culling, and of course all that matters a whole lot. And that's what I've kind of got to learn again and kind of learn that whole game again. And fishing these 3 opens, I didn't really do that well in the other 2. I mean, I caught a lot of fish in both of them, but I didn't really catch many big ones until lacrosse. And that lacrosse one, I still sore over that one. I really feel like I could have won that one. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but I know I was on the fish that I could have definitely won or been in the top 2 or 3 if I hadn't got locked out, and that whole lock situation messed us up. But I learned a lot more about. I've still got to learn how to cull better because I've got to get my efficiency up with a scale and all that. I've got my TH Marine cull clips and my balance beam, and I feel like a idiot back there trying to do that. I wasted so much time doing that. I've got to get better at that.
Dude, you're preaching to the choir. I brought 6 fish to the scales this year for the first time in my life up at Lake Champlain. It was just how many times have we all done it? Like I've called a million times. It's never even been a thing. And we're looking in the bag, and sure enough, there were 6 fish in that bag. I don't even know how it happened. I still don't know how it happened.
You remember that Northern Open I won at James River in 2013? I actually had 6 fish in the live well there. I got so excited because I caught 2 5-pounders back to back. I put them in the live well, and I was high-fiving my partner and getting baits out and talking, and we were up there behind the Chickahominy Lake Dam, and that roaring water on the dam. You couldn't hear each other talking, and all of a sudden I stand up and make a cast, and my stomach, it felt like somebody kicked me in the gut because it hit me that I hadn't culled, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I went back, sure enough, and I looked in there and I had 6, so I threw one back. I called Chris Bowes and told him, and he said, yeah, you have to take 2 pounds off your total weight at the end of the day. So that was a bad feeling because I knew I had a chance to win, and thankfully it all worked out, and the second, third day went well, and I still won by 6 pounds. But if I had lost that tournament by less than 2 pounds, that would have been really bad. So I learned my lesson. I haven't done it since then.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny. Palaniuk just tells that happened to him too, and he still won. I guess that was Thousand Islands where he did that. He caught himself, had the 2-pound penalty, and still won. I had no chance of winning Lake Champlain when I made the mistake, but at least you guys figured it out during the deal. Like I don't know, man. I'm getting old, Randy. I'm like, I didn't even know it until I'm at the scales. You got to be kidding me. I'm losing it, you know. Well, it's a great time to be fishing, and it's fall fishing around here. We wanted to kind of shift gears a little bit, and let's talk some fishing, man. We talked about it early in the show, but Lake Guntersville is on fire.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's shallow cranking season all over again for me. You know, I like shallow cranking. I've kind of built a lot of my career, my style of fishing on it, especially in the 5 fish limit days of consistency of just having to catch 5 no matter what. You know, I haven't won a lot of tournaments in 30 years, but I've cashed a lot of checks, and I've made the Classic, 16 times in those 22 or 3 years I fished bass or whatever. And a lot of that came from just consistently putting 5 in the boat day in and day out. Even when the fishing was bad, even when I wasn't on anything, I would scramble around and junk fish. And that shallow crankbait is what's kind of made a living for me. And so I still lean heavily on that. And as we get into the fall, those fish start migrating up in the creeks and the bays, and they're chasing bait fish up in there, and they're especially lakes that not Guntersville, lakes that are tougher lakes, because Guntersville is an exception really to the rule. Most lakes in the southeast and most of the Midwest get really tough in September, October until it really cools off, and that's the hardest time to catch fish, and that's when they seem to bite reaction baits like fast moving, shallow running crankbaits, bouncing them off cover, and you just catch one here, one there, and you kind of junk fish, and you can put a good day together, and that's what I like doing.
Man, well, it's that time of year. What's so special about Guntersville? Guntersville gets more fishing pressure than any place on the planet, and you and a million other top level pros have all moved there. Everybody's like fishing this lake, but how does it keep putting out these massive stringers of fish?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I say the same thing all the time, but then after I finally, and I really don't go fishing here a whole lot, honestly, because I'm gone so much, and I come home, and most of the time I wouldn't even went fishing Sunday if Robin hadn't have made me. She was like, let's go fishing. Lakers said they're biting good. We need to go out and just catch some fish. And it was raining and everything. We went out there and just blistered them. But I think it's all about the grass. Everybody, people that don't fish, and the landowners around me in my area, all around this lake, man, they are so up in arms about the grass. They always want to kill it. They want to get rid of it. And the eelgrass is a pain in the butt on this lake because it floats everywhere and it gets in the way of, you can't even fish treble hook baits in a lot of good areas sometimes if it floats into that area, depends on the wind direction or the current. But that eelgrass with all the other grass too is what has made this lake so good, because it's like a nature preserve for them. I mean, they've got so many hiding places to get away when they spawn, and like the fish we were caught Sunday, tons of those fish that we caught Sunday out there literally spawned probably in March this year, because they were like this big to this big, and they're like little fat healthy little football bass. And it's like fishing a lake that they just stocked, a lake that's a brand new lake where they open it up and they just stocked it, and there's thousands of little bass everywhere. That's what it's like right now here. But then you shift gears and don't go for those fish, and you go flip the grass thick mats, or you go out onto deeper edges, and then there's schools of 3 to 5 pounders out there, and you can catch. That it was a college tournament here Sunday too that were out at the same time we were out there, and there was not even that many boats in it, I don't think, and there was 11 bags over 20 and 3 bags over 25 in almost the end of September. That's unheard of. You don't see that in a lot of lakes, and so it's all about the healthy grass and the abundance of the grass everywhere. And the good thing they've learned to do here at Guntersville is manage. There's an organization here that's kind of headed up by fishermen that negotiate with TVA and landowners, and they keep the voice strong, and they have money, that people give to this fund. My lake is called My Lake Guntersville, and that helps TVA and the grass killers only kill the grass and spread or harvest it in the boat lanes where you're driving, like where I live in the back of Spring Creek. The flats are full of grass out there, but the pathway leading into it to get to the docks is clean, and they kind of keep it clean around the docks in a lot of areas, and it's managed, but they leave that grass alone out there in the open water because that's not hurting anybody. Nobody's got to run out there on their boat, and they're not going to ski out there. And that's what they've done a pretty good job of managing it and trying to keep everybody slightly, happy as they can.
Yeah, that's the grass is key. You see so many lakes owners and associations kill it, and the fishing goes right along with it. I'm thrilled that Guntersville is doing what it's doing. But we're we're talking about cranking. You're talking about scrambling around. A lot of lakes are tough. Junk fishing around with a shallow crankbait. Give us some deets. What is your crankbait of choice when the fish are tough to catch in these September tournaments, early October down south? Like what depth zone are you targeting?
Well, I start. I'm always prepared for three. I kind of keep three different main crankbaits on, and I'm a Livingston guy, and I'm trying to get, I've gotten Livingston to make everything that I need to fish with. So I've got boxes full of balsa baits in my garage and homemade baits, and I never use any of them anymore because I've had, we've made a bait for everything. So my Howler square bill has a real wide, hard, sharp angled circuit board lip, and only runs about 3 to 4 feet max, and it's a lot like a balsa bait, and it has a real wide aggressive wobble. And on Guntersville especially, you can reel that over grass. It's similar to a Baby 1 minus from the old days, but it has a harder vibration and a little bit sharper hold. It only has about probably an 8-inch wobble side to side versus a 12-inch wide to wide, side to side. And that one can deflect off wood, and you can just burn it fast over flats. And I catch a lot of fish on that Howler square bill, different colors depending on how the water color is. I use crawfish color a lot still in the fall, because there's a lot of fish that still eat crawfish in the back of these creeks when they're chasing shad. And sometimes that's a little deal I do. Everybody's throwing chartreuse and pearl and shad colors, and I'll throw that Guntersville crawl or a spring crawl, red to orange color, and still catch a lot of fish on it. And then I have the next bait I use a lot is a little finesse size Livingston called a Vapor 50. And it's kind of a Japanese looking bait, smaller body, and it has a circuit board lip too. So it has a real tight vibration. It runs about 7 or 8 feet deep, and you can cast it a mile and get a lot of distance and to get the depth out of it, because it's got the computer chip battery in it. It makes the crawfish sound or the shad sound, so that gives you more weight for throwing it in the wind, making a long cast. That bait I caught them at Table Rock really good on that last week in our media event. Every day we went out to do anything, man, I'd pick that up in a brown crawl color on Table Rock and just catch fish everywhere we went with it. And so that's my second bait. And then if I want, then that little bit deeper mid range, that 8 to 10 or 11 feet deep range, that's my regular Howler crankbait that I partially won the Classic on here at Guntersville with 10 years ago now. And that bait has a good aggressive wide wobble, and it dives about 10, 11 feet. And you can fish rock, stumps, brush, anything with that, and it doesn't hang up, and it's got a good action. So that's the 3 that I rotate through, and I'll rotate through them a lot, over the same day, because I'll go from 0 to 10 a lot, trying to figure out where they're at until you really dial it in to know they're in 2 foot of water or if they're in 7 foot of water. Because in the fall, it's scrambles up every day anyway. You really don't know where they're going to go because they're following the bait fish. So you just kind of got to be ready. And that's the 3 main baits I start with.
Are you using the same rod and reel combo for all
Yeah.
those baits?
Yeah, I got that Daiwa 7 foot medium light. It's my shallow cranking rod. It's a shallow cranking jerkbait rod. It's got a little bit shorter handle, 7 foot medium light. It's got a good soft tip, a little bit of medium backbone, and you can cast it a mile with that. And I throw a 7-1 Tatula Elite bait cast reel or Tatula SV. And most of the time I crank with 12-pound Daiwa J fluorocarbon line. That's the 12-pound is kind of where I start with. And I rarely go down. I usually go up. You know, if my bait's running shallow or I want it to run even shallower, I'll go to 14, 16, 18, whatever depth zone that I'm looking to stay to keep that bait in. And that's what I throw all the time.
What line size do you throw when you're throwing that the shallow run crankbait over top of grass?
I go heavier on that Howler square bill. I'll throw 16 on that a lot, and that 16 just kind of helps that bait not dive as deep. It'll stay up more flat. You know, it won't go down as much, and so it kind of runs flat anyway. When you throw it out there a long cast and you start burning, I'll change if I'm fishing grass with that, or if I'm fishing the backs of creeks where you got little stick ups, you know, where that one little stick up way over there, it's a foot of water and you land your bait by there and you catch one every time. That's when it's a flat planing bait. It doesn't go down much and it does like this. And that's what 16 really helps it stay up high and in that 2 to 3 foot column.
Will you ever go to mono if you need shallow?
No, I haven't used mono in I don't know how many years now. So I'll take that back. I've got a spool of mono. Listen to this. This is crazy. You would never do this. And every time I do it, I wonder if I should or not. But I've got a spool of 20-pound Stren Duratough. And you remember that yellow? It was a yellow spool Duratough they made so long time ago. I've had that in my bag, and it's 20-pound test, and I've cut me a small piece off and tie, FG knot on braid when I'm throwing my popper. And the Livingston walking pop 67 or 77 is like a pop R. And when we were at the James River this year, I was catching them on a popper, and I put that little piece of short line on there. And that line is thick and it floats, and it keeps your popper from wrapping around your braid. And everybody probably does that, but that line is so old, and I'll pull it out every time, and I'll pull, I'll pull, and you can't break it to save your life. And I'm like, it's no reason not to keep using this, so I keep using it. I bet a spool line's 20 years old, honestly, and I still use that every once in a while on a popper.
I love that. Is it yellow? Is it yellow line or
no? It's green. It's just dark green. It looks like rope too. It looks like rope. And it's weird because at James River I stopped because I was worried about. I stopped and bought me a little spool of big game trilene 20-pound. I haven't used that in 20 some years, and I was going to use it just for my leader. And that night before the tournament, I tied. Just because in my head that spool line was so old, I thought, don't be an idiot. Just get some new line. So I put it on there. The first cast that morning, I pop, and one blowed up. And as soon as I jerked, it broke. The leader broke. And I lost my popper. And it was like a 3.5 pounder. Like he jumped 3 or 4 times trying to throw my bait out, never did. And I still don't know why that big game broke on my knot. And so after that, I cut it off and took that old line and put it back on and never had any more trouble with it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. 20-year-old line.
Yeah. Don't tell anybody that I do that. That makes it sound bad.
Hey, I love it. That stuff is tried and true. I still play around with mono from time to time in certain situations when I need to keep things up, keep things high in the water column. But like most of us, I mean, we kind of got brainwashed onto the fluorocarbon, and you forget that, man, there are a few assets here to this mono.
It is. It is, and you still can't beat the strength of that mono with the stretch, because of the stretch in it. It's just, you can't hardly break it. So I'm sure there's times that certain baits and certain things, I've just gotten so used to the low stretch I hate to feel stretch in my line very much at all. I've just kind of gotten used to not feeling stretch. So when you have stretch, it's like, gosh, like how in the world did we used to hook fish on a Zara spook at Bugs Island? You know, back in the day, I had a flipping stick and I'd throw that 20-pound big game. You couldn't even see it land. It would land so far, that pencil popper or that bait, and work that. And that's why I lost them. And they blow it up a mile out there and you run backwards like Ike does and trying to get your spool slack up. And the fastest reel we had like then was a 6.3. And they jump 12 times and get off about the 10th time, you know, because you didn't have any, you had so much stretch in that line. So I that's bad memories for me. So I don't use much mono anymore.
Yeah, that's and plus your rod selection and your rod designs are designed around that stretch or lack of stretch. You know, so
right.
you probably, if you're going to use it, you got to switch up your rod choice to try to balance that out. So it adds some complexity to the choices there. You know,
that's right. That's right.
Do you are you a clip guy on your cranking? A lot of guys that like to use a snap so that they can change, you know, colors and combos. Are you one of those guys, or you tying direct?
Yeah, I tie direct. I'm so OCD. I hate to see anything that looks abnormal or anything sticking out too far. I can't even let a piece. I have to cut my tag line in off so short that I can't stand to see somebody's bait with a piece of line sticking off a line tie that much right there. It drives me nuts. I don't know why. Maybe that's because I got a haircut like this. I don't know, but I can't stand seeing that little tag sticking out. So I definitely can't use a snap, man. Not at all. It's only a split ring.
That's funny. See, I'm the other way. Like if I cut my tag too short, I'd like freak out. I'm like, it's gonna slip and untangle.
Yeah, I can
there's a
see
whole other side to that.
Me and you in the boat together wouldn't work too good because I can see your rods laying everywhere. Mine are all perfect in order. My handles turn just right, so it's not hitting the carpet, kind of like Brian Thrift.
Yeah,
and all my stuff's lined up just right. All my lines cut real short. I'll retie 3 times sometimes till I get that line tag cut really short. You know, and Aaron Martins used to be like that too. You know, me and Aaron, and that was one of the few things. Only things I had in common with Aaron was how particular I am about stuff like that.
That's awesome. Yeah,
sounds like Justin.
Our own young Justin over there. He gets in the boat with me, and I'm a disaster. I do have rods everywhere. He spends the first 30 minutes of every day like putting my boat back together and organizing stuff. So,
yeah, that's how Laker is. You know how me and my wife joke about it. Even yesterday, I'm like, how? Even he was standing here and we were talking. I'm like, how in the world are you my son? You know, how can you be my son when I look at your boat and see your mess laying everywhere in that floor? I mean, even he keeps his boat in my garage still. He's married, lives about 15 minutes away, but his boat's in my garage, and I go out there sometimes and walk by and look at it, and I can't stand it. I have to climb up in it and just pick up stuff out of the floor and throw trash away and straighten it up just because I can't stand to see it like that. And he'll come in and be like, "Why are you messing with my boat?" I'm like, because it's a disaster. He said, "Well, I know where everything's at. Let's leave it alone. Don't mess with my stuff. You know, leave it like that. That's the way I like it." I'm like, no, you can't. You got to get better one day.
Oh man, that's so funny. I'm a lot like your son. I'm exactly the same. I always lie to myself, or I fool myself into saying, you know, a sloppy work area is the sign of a creative mind. That's what I'm.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, you go with that.
Yeah, but I promise you, I do like it after Justin gets a hold of stuff, and I'm like, oh crap, you know, the crankbait's back where it was supposed to be, you know, and I can find a pair of pliers for a change, you know, which I can never seem to find. But well, Randy, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for being part of Bass University. I want to invite everybody to go and check out Randy's tutorials, his seminars at Bass University TV, which are a lot. You've been working with us at Bass University for a long time, and I appreciate that. And you're a great teacher, and you're fun. It always surprises me how you crack up the room at Bass University. Yeah, so you're great.
To have fun.
Yeah, you do, and you're a great teacher as a result, and a great angler. And congratulations on your move, and we look forward to rooting for you out there on the Elites.
Man, I appreciate you guys for having me, and I'd love to come back and do some seminars. Maybe we can get that one in Gadsden, Alabama, or somewhere up this way. Maybe timing will work out. It's always not worked out for the last several years, so maybe we can get back on the stage and teach some new stuff to some people, and keep fishing fun. And hey, before we go, let me plug my boat giveaway here for King's Home in case I don't see y'all again, because we're this will be the 14th year we give my boat away to raise money for the kids and women and children at King's Home, the girls ranch, boys ranch, and all the women's homes. It's about 150 total kids and women that get helped by this boat giveaway every year at King's Home, and we raised $3.1 million in 13 years with 13 boat giveaways. So this will be the 14th year. It's November 16th. So follow me on the pages, Randy Howell fishing pages, and you'll see us promoting it. We don't push it real big until about 2 to 3 weeks out. We'll start really hammering the waves, and I apologize now for everybody if you see it every day, everywhere. We got to get the word out and make a difference, because those kids, it gets worse every year. More and more abuse, more neglect and abandonment, and bad situations happen. And this is how we can make a difference and to get the whole fishing community abroad to help, because we sell tickets in 40 some states and 8 or 9 countries every year. And it's a great deal for $100 to have a chance to win that boat. And whether you need it or not, a guy won it last year and he needed the money, and I sold it for him to a friend, and 75,000 just like that. The guy got 75 grand for helping a great cause. So kingshome.com, $100 tax deductible. November 16th is the deadline. We'll have a live stream drawing at our kids fishing event that day. And you can watch it on your phone wherever you're at. We've had winners from 8 out of 13 years. It's been one out of another state, so it's not just Alabama. So chip in there and make a difference, man. Help us with these kids, and might win this boat. It's loaded out. Only got 133 hours on it, so it's good to go.
Well, hopefully it gets one out of state in New Jersey, because I keep trying.
You keep trying, man. I appreciate it. It's a great call.
Yeah, it is a great cause, and I'm glad to participate. And we'll, as we get close to that deadline, we'll push it out here on Bass University for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll text Ridge here and let him send you a link when we get closer. Then maybe y'all can put it out there a little bit, and every little bit helps. You never know where the right person sees it on your page or whoever else's page. It might be that guy that's got a lot of money and a big heart and wants to write 50 tickets or 100 tickets. We get several of them a year, and that's really how you multiply. We sold about little over 3,000 tickets last year, and I'd love to hit 5,000 tickets. That could be $500,000, and it would last the whole year. It costs about $150,000 for 1 year just to operate one group home that has like 8 boys or 8 girls with house parents and all that. So if you put that in perspective, if you can raise 300,000, you can operate 2 complete homes, for the whole year. So you put it like that, it makes a big difference.
Man, sure enough. Well, we're glad to help, and appreciate you coming on and talking to us. Best of luck this year. We'll stay in touch, and maybe we'll see you at a Bass University event this year. We'd love to have you back.
Hope so, man. Thank you guys for having me. God bless. We'll see y'all on the water soon.
Yes, all right, sir. Buddy. We'll see you. Great, Randy Howell, everybody. A lot of fun. He's always fun.
Yeah,
in the room. He's always cracking. He comes off with like a dry sense of humor, and then the whole crowd is like doubled over with his craziness.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. It's got me talking to him's got me wanting to go down to Guntersville.
Oh my gosh!
Punch some
Let's go. Come on.
Flipping, frogging.
Man,
that's just nuts how good it is.
It is.
And it just keeps getting better and better. And it's doing good in September, which is never the case. Like, all the lakes are tough in September. But guys, if you're watching us over on social, like and share, feed. Jocelyn, we didn't talk about prizes today.
We are giving away Crush City as our like and share prize.
Crush
but we're
City,
also going to put some Rapala baits in there as well.
Nice.
So it's a little spoofed up.
Nice.
And for our grand prize is a hummingbird hat pack of Crush City baits and Angler's Coffee.
Angler's Coffee. Right. Man, that is a good grand prize.
Nice.
And it is Maverick season. It's getting to be that time up here. Yes. It's not quite down south, maybe. But as this shad starts to gang up, it's jerkbait season. Want to invite you guys to go check out the new Mavericks from Rapala. They're just killers. we're going to be all using them here pretty soon as we get through October.
Come equipped with those red lines straight out of the pack, brother.
Straight out of the pack.
I
And then-
also wanted to give a shout out to BMF, our subscriber. He said he listened to Randy's seminar on mid-depth cranking 10 minutes before he watched our Bash U Live.
There,
That's awesome.
That's some dedication.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. Just shout out to Frank, Chuck Fish, BMF, obviously, for watching, and Steve, Batista, Lori.
Test is watching too.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks as always. But we're going to be taking a quick commercial break. We're going to be giving away some stuff. We're going to we have a grand prize question coming your way. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome to Minnow King. How can I help you?
Everything looks good. I'm friggin' starving, man. Been spawning all morning.
Ugh, TMI, bro. What do you want?
I'll take a Crush City freeloader and gizzard shad.
Anything to drink.
Water.
Pull ahead, please. Welcome to Minnow King.
We're gonna have what he's had. Yeah, throw me in a Ned BLT too.
Pull ahead, please.
Calm down. Quit feeding so much.
Hey, man, I'm trying to, man.
If you overfeed him, he's gonna hide under a log.
Right here, Aquaview, mandatory equipment in my boat. I say it all the time. The smallmouths hide in the cracks in the rocks, and just saw a little bit of the same kind of rock with the cracks in it. And I realized that I had to put a bait down there. You wouldn't, idle over them and see them on your screen. You had to put a bait down there and suck them out of the rock. So, Aquaview, big assist on this one.
And outdoors Bassmaster Classic champion,
Coffee. The angler's ritual. A reason to leave your cozy covers, even if you aren't headed to the river. We started Angler's Coffee because, well, we love to fish, we love coffee, and we care. Think of it as the rise before the rise.
Why do you love catching fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA. Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out there in a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming Series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water, not spent fishing, is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to Bash University Live.
Shout out to Dave Galt, just checked in with us from Kokomo, Indiana.
Ooh, we went to Kokomo before.
Yeah.
Kokomo.
Bash U has been to Kokomo a few times. We've been all around the country. Is our ticket window open yet?
Nope.
Oh, I was going to announce it. I'm announcing that I'm going to be making an announcement soon about our ticket window. We are going to be in Athens, Texas. We're going to be in
Anderson,
South Carolina. I always struggle
with our favorite Neil Paul.
Yep. Hopefully, all the power will be back in order by the time we get down there.
Yep.
Thoughts and prayers out to all those affected by the recent hurricane. I know there was a lot of drought. Some people are welcoming it. A lot of rain in the area, but man, 6 inches of rain in 10 minutes. That's that was devastating.
Shout out Jeff Olson. Hopefully his chickens are okay. They're not on the loose running around Lake Hartwell. But
Hopefully. And if you have not subscribed to Bass University, it's a great time. Man, this is the time when you can really get ahead. We have a great 6-month promotion going on right now, and you get a Bass University t-shirt, or a pair of Rapala scissors, Bass University pen, a lot of cool stuff coming to you from Bass University. Get yourself subscribed, and you can watch all the exclusive content from guys like Randy Howell, talking about his crankbait system and a variety of other topics, and the best anglers in the world teaching about what they're really good at.
Fall Frenzy.
The Fall Frenzy. Fall Frenzy going on at Bass University.
What's being released this week?
This week we have on the waters, we have PG, Pete Gluzak, with the Big Four. That's the 4 tools every angler needs to learn and become proficient with to have successful days on the water, have successful days catching bass. There's the Big 4 techniques and to help you become a better angler. That's going to go into our basics category. Help those guys that are just getting their toes into this.
It can be confusing. It's a daunting task starting in this sport, and there's so many weird and intricate Japanese strategies and weird. Look. You got to start with the basics. Any athlete will tell you, man, you got to be proficient with the basics. And that's what I put this seminar for. And even if you've been fishing a long time, you always got to go back and revisit your basic strategies to build off of to become a better angler. So I think you guys are going to like it. Go check it out. It's this week.
That's the on the water. And this week in the classroom, we have Derek Hudnall, Southern Finesse. It's getting to be a little bit of that tricky time of the year down south, except for Lake Guntersville. Lake Guntersville's on fire, but a lot of places down south start to get a little bit tough this time of year, and you gotta get a little bit crafty on how you're going to go and catch them. So Derek Hudnall, Southern Finesse, that's a great one to watch, and it's not just for the South. It's a finesse approach that can be, applied anywhere across the country. But Derek Hudnall being a Louisiana guy, he's got his Southern approach to things. So go check that out as well. It's all going to be on Bass University this week. So check them out.
Grand prize question. Can I throw it out there?
Yeah.
All right. Grand prize question was, what body of water did Randy forget to call on in a Bassmaster Open? And he ended up winning that event.
Yeah.
It was the James River, correct?
It was the James River.
Frank Walter.
Frank
is the grand prize winner.
Congratulations, Frank. Nice job.
Frank.
I got to give a shout out to my Minn Kota Ultrex Quest. I'm going to talk about this motor.
Pete's Quest.
It is Pete's Quest. Well, no, Jake wants it to be his quest, but it's Pete's Quest.
Pete's Quest.
I got to kick him off the trolling motor.
Pete's Quest on the message board.
It's a powerful weapon, guys. Get into somebody's boat that has one. If you haven't tried it, man, this thing it pulls my boat 4.7 miles an hour, which is a tremendous speed, but it's control, just the control and the power, the spotlight, everything's just fantastic about this motor. One of the things I like so much about it, and this is key for us, Rich, is the new adjustability on the moving your shaft from shallow to deep. It's a one clip.
Right.
Have you seen it?
Yep.
It's just boom, pop that clip, go shallow, drop it, go deep, snap it into place. It is a tremendous design. Love everything about this motor, especially the lack of draw. It just my battery will never run out of power. It just, no matter how hard I work the motor, it just doesn't use the fuel in the form of electricity. It's just amazing. So go check that out. Justin, I know you're real excited. You got one coming your way.
Yep, I do. Did you got a 45-inch shaft one?
I did.
Cool. Me too, obviously. I didn't know if you got a 52. I know a lot of people do run that bigger one in the bigger waters.
That shaft is perfect length for my bass cat. But one thing that's interesting about the motor that you selected is, I have the 36 volt, you know, the bigger model,
Mm-hmm.
but you opted for the one size down. Like it's
Yeah, so
80-pound thrust.
It's technically a 90 or a 110. So I can run it on 24 volts and get a 90-pound thrust, but I can also run it on 36 and get 110. I think they have it as.
Wow.
So I'm gonna keep it on 24. It's gonna push my boat perfectly fine.
It's perfect for your boat. Yeah. What is your boat? It's a 19 or 18?
Yeah, it's just at 19 foot. It's like 18, 10, 18, 11.
Yeah.
So it'll push my boat.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Nice. What we got going on? We've got the Bass University box. It's powered by Fish Vault. Go to fishvault.com, get signed up for the Bass University box, and get the baits that our teachers are teaching about at Bass University. So box number 3 is coming out real soon. It was really cool. This month's box was a topwater box, and it is topwater season going on right now. So really cool stuff. Get over to fishvault.com and get yours. What else we got, Josh?
Angler's Coffee is giving all of our members 20% off. So go head over and get your coffee while you can for 20% off.
If you're a coffee junkie like me, you got to go check out Angler's Coffee. They have the largemouth and the smallmouth blend.
Good stuff.
Which I love them both, and I love that we have it at the Bass University house every time we're on the road at one of the tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
But
gets the seal of approval. It's good.
Tip top. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching. We're going to be back next week with another episode of Bass University Live. Look for our ticket window to open up real soon. Get out there, get on site. It's really awesome. You can get in the face of all these great anglers, ask them your questions, breakout sessions. It's totally interactive. You can get pictures, autographs, whatever you want on site at Bass University courses, which are going to be announced real soon. We got a sub of the week.
Yes, we do. Our sub of the week is Kevin Duggins. This is a different sub of the week. He was a boat captain
well done
for some juniors rocking the Bass U hat, and they ended up winning. So,
awesome.
His first time being a boat captain for some
Super
high
cool.
school anglers, and
I love that
they won. So pretty cool deal. Shout
Very
out,
cool.
Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for rocking the Bass University stuff, and thanks for watching Bass University TV. We'll see y'all next week.